Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am talking about one of my favorite subjects today, and that is social media. And so I wanted to come at it from a slightly different angle than we normally talk about it because I know that there are people out there, advisors, who open up Instagram or Facebook or whatever your social media is of choice. You start to write something, you delete it 3 times, and you sit there wondering, do I even know what I want to post? Is this good enough? Well, all of those thoughts, if they run through your head, this episode is for you because I think for a lot of travel advisors, it's not that we don't know what to post because we've taken the trips, we have the photos, we have the client stories, we have our own expertise. All of that is in our brains, but there's a pause, second guessing, if you will. The feeling of, I don't know if this is right or if this is good. And over time, that turns into inconsistency or just not showing up at all. And I want to get us past that. So today I'm joined by Kyla, also known as a social passport on Instagram. And she works with advisors specifically on this and more, helping them get out of their heads and show up online more confident and with clarity. So Kyla, thank you so much for being here. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I share the same passion for marketing and social media. I think when I talk about it, you'll definitely see my eyes light up. I love it. I am not one of those people that, has that love-hate relationship all the time. I love it most of the time.
Yeah.
And so I love sharing that passion and getting someone to like it just a little bit more every time I chat with them.
That is perfect. That is perfect. So that's what I hope we accomplish today. And just kind of give somebody a different way of thinking about it, a different way of approaching it, and take a little bit of the burden. And so it doesn't feel like a burden because nobody wants to do the things that feel like a burden, right? Like I don't want to open up spreadsheets every day and look at numbers. And I don't want people thinking the same thing about social media. So I feel like I see this all the time. Advisors who, like I said, they're going on great trips. They have all the expertise. They have clients who freaking love working with them, but they don't post. They don't know what to post. They kind of are like, I think I should do this, but I'm not doing this. And then they do it every once in a while, like throwing spaghetti at the wall. What do you think is going on behind the scenes, so to speak, with advisors who find themselves in that kind of situation?
Definitely. This is such a big one that I hear as well. And I will say I am a former advisor, so I went through all of this. I know how it felt. Even with the love of social media, it that had to grow. So I think when you think about in destination, I think a big setback mentally is you have to do everything. Everything has to be posted in the moment or it's gone and it's done and you can never post it. That's not true. Your content should last you years if you are, taking it, expanding on what you capture, and really showcasing the story of your trip. So in destination, I try to tell advisors focus on what you can post. If that's a daily diary with 5 to 10 photos of the day, you kind of write out what happened that day. It doesn't have to be a reel. It doesn't have to be a voiceover. Those things can all come later. But where we suffer is when we don't post anything.
Yeah.
So choose your simple during your travel because your itinerary is crazy. You're tired. You're trying to enjoy a little bit. You're learning. Choose what you feel like, if that's a daily diary of what you did that day. Choose what you can do in destination, save all the other stuff for later. And then I think one of the biggest things when we get home, our struggle is it's not organized.
Mm,
So it's way harder to create content with unorganized content
yeah.
than it is when it's in a folder, when you know exactly where it is, when you can recall on it very easily. And so I think what I do is on that plane ride home, I have a checklist of things I need to do. One is changing my where my next trip is in my bio. It's foldering my content. It's deleting anything I don't need. It's writing down any content ideas I have so that when I get home and all the emails come in and all of that, at least I'm organized and I have a much better foundation for the content ideas that are to come.
Yeah. I literally have so many bones to pick with advisor friends that I have. And I'm like, I know you're traveling right now. I know you were in Italy and I saw nothing. I know that you just got back from this amazing river cruise and who's to know, not your clients, because you said nothing the whole time you were gone. So many advisors do this because, yes, to your point, when you're on a fam or you're traveling, trying to kind of be present, follow the fam schedule that is over the top busy, do all the things, what have you. Posting in the moment can feel like overwhelming, or I don't have time to make it perfect. I don't have time to kind of like tell the story. But to your point, if you just show up, that does so much in and of itself, because it's inviting people behind the scenes, that it's giving people an opportunity to see you do the thing you say you do. All of those things are just kind of like really great glimpses of our daily life when we're traveling. And then the deeper work, or the more organized work, or the way that we carry that information and those photos through and make them kind of last far beyond the trip, is the organization and being organized and coming home with somewhat of a plan, with the 72 million photos that you took and the little short videos that people told you were important to make reels. And then, like, okay, now what? Now what do we do? So, yes, to your point, always just show up when you are on a trip or when you're traveling. There's nothing better, I personally believe, for our jobs in terms of marketing, is to show us doing the thing, and then have a plan for the long term and for how that content can really have longevity, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I find myself, on a trip with, the low pressure of a daily diary post, a content idea pops in my head, I add it to my note, I go about my day. I think
Mhm.
this also really helps me stay present in
Mhm.
trips as well, because I'm not sitting in the corner during dinner editing something, being like, I have to get this voiceover green screen craziness out. I know I did what I needed to do. I showed up organically. I showed what I was doing that day, the day before, and everything else is that long-term goal, because then you can highlight a river cruise for months and months and months if you're not posting every single little thing in that moment. If you do and you've got the time for it, awesome. But you don't want to get so overwhelmed with that nothing gets posted. Exactly.
Yeah.
What
Yeah. Kind of like going back even before, this part of the conversation, if we're thinking about the mindset of advisors and what like causes the overthinking, or the like analysis by paralysis, or just the kind of uncertainty in their marketing approach, their use of social media, etc., where do you think that actually comes from? Like, what do you see?
I think in the world of social media, it's become, I mean, we know it's crazy. It's so different than it was when I started in social media and everything. Everything is kind of presented to you as a comparison game, right? Social
Mhm.
media has become this highlight reel of your life, and it's only the good things and things like that. And so you assume this other, advisor that you look up to with 50,000 followers is perfect, and they show up on camera 100% confident every single time, and they're, booking a ton and all. You don't know that. And
Mhm.
if we focus on that, we don't serve our audience,
Mhm.
because we know there's a ton of advisors out there in the world, but you are you. And so I think we have to get out of our heads with the comparison game on social media and know that we all have our own value. No one can replicate what you do, your voice, your value to your clients. And so I think that's where we have to break away from. And confidence is such a hard thing to teach. I can't, I have a course on it, but I can't shake you and tell you like now you're confident.
Yeah.
It really does compound over time. The more you show up, the more you do it, the less you critique your voice, the less you critique what you look like. There's little things that we have to just break away from, but no one can fix it for you until you kind of start to do it. So you have to know your value. You have to remind yourself every single day. One thing I like to say is if this post helps one person
Yeah.
inspire a trip, you know, really think about a new destination, then I did my job. One person. Stop
Yeah.
thinking about viral and millions of
Yeah.
all of that. It can help one person, and I think that's what really grounds you in social media as such a big world of comparison and all of that. Just focusing on you, your goal, your ideal audience.
100%. Yeah, that comparison is a thief of joy, or whatever it is so true. And just fearing that people are judging you or making assumptions about who you are, what you do, because of whatever you post, is the wrong approach to take. But I know it's so easy to kind of fall into that trap. And the other thing, I think, even to your point of like you're doing it for one person to bring them value, to show them something, to teach them something, what have you. A lot of times, I think in our industry, and I think this is specifically why I follow so few travel advisors, is because I'm not posting for another travel advisor. So really, what do I care what they think about the type of things I'm posting or what I'm saying or how I'm saying it or how I show up? Like, it's not for them, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of times our internal dialogue is focused on people who like literally are not the people we need to care about at all. And that can be a little bit tricky if you're constantly kind of consumed with what other people in your industry are doing versus what your ideal client and the people you want to reach really need to hear from you. And it's just kind of like the switching of like, what is this for? What is a purpose can kind of help us hopefully get out of that overthinking,
Yeah,
perhaps.
definitely. I hear it the same, with other travel advisors, but friends and family. What are they
Mhm.
gonna think that I'm traveling all the time? That might
Okay.
not be your ideal
Yeah.
client.
It
Your
usually is
family
not.
normally is not your ideal client, and you don't wanna deal with that. So, we do have to, like, break away and just focus in on who that person is that we are talking to, how we can help them, the value that we bring to them, even if your post isn't perfect. They're not expecting perfection, they're expecting real, honest, valuable, and those things don't happen with, picture perfect and all of that. I've had, you know, posts that go up with a typo and, some things are editable, some things aren't, but you look at it and you say, "You know what? I'm a human." It's different. I'm a human, and if someone looks at that and is like, "Oh, I'm not going to book with her because of that one tiny typo," probably was going to have some issues in the booking process anyway that I didn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So thinking, keeping that clear vision of who you're talking to, how you can help them, and trying to eliminate all of that outside noise. Easier said than done, but again, it compounds. The more you do it, the more you think about it, that really helps. I'm a big person on affirmations, so
Mhm.
I pull an affirmation almost every single day. It's almost always about confidence, showing up, as a business owner, as someone who has this role to be on social media. And I just have to repeat it over and over again. It's not always perfect. Sometimes I get in front of the camera and I get frustrated. Sometimes I show up and I'm good, but it really does compound over time the more and more you do it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the practicality of all this. So, what good enough content actually looks like. Like, let's give people some, like, hey, release this idea of it needs to be perfect. Release this idea that you should spend 72 hours making your reel and the green screen and all the things. There might be a time and place for that, but it's not really kind of the focus for any of us as most of us being solopreneurs or working on our own, doing our own marketing. We're just trying to do our best. So, what does good enough content actually look like? How do you help clients, other advisors decide what to post, how to kind of get to that, like, hey, I'm putting this out there, let's go?
Yeah, definitely. One big, I would say, affirmation or thing that I say all the time to advisors is posted is better than perfect.
Mhm.
So also don't know. I'll have advisors come to me and they say, like, what do you think of this post? Like, do you think this is gonna do well? And I'm like, it has the foundation of a good post. There is value, it's clear who it is for, the picture or the video quality is good. I have, an overall understanding of who this content is for, who it's talking to, it's put together. It might not be the most, crazy edit or the longest caption or things like that, but it is done and it has value. But we don't know what it's going to do until it's posted. I can't predict how it will do on social media until it's posted. And so I have to remind people of that. And we have to look at those analytics as, a factor of, did this do well? Could it be formatted differently? Could the caption be different? The honest truth is social media is a lot of testing. So
Mhm.
when you look at a post, because you don't want something to sit in the drafts for forever, right? When you look at the post, look at, does it have value? Is it going to capture attention? And is it clear who this post is going to help? And I think when you look at those things and you have that overview, whether it's a complicated edit, it's something very simple, Does it have a purpose? Are you hitting those things? Click post.
Mhm.
Because you won't know how it's going to do until it actually gets posted. So, remembering those things in your head and just knowing it doesn't help anyone if it sits in the drafts or if it sits up here. It's not helping anyone. So, you got to get it out there. It's a big thing. Even if it's you talking on screen, you just have to get it out there.
Yeah. Done is better than perfect 10 times out of 10. And there is no way, especially with social media. Number one, nobody's paying that close of attention, right? So, like, we're so consumed with all of these opinions that might come or what people will think, or it's not as good as it could be. And literally, your ability to capture somebody's attention is so small, and the way that the algorithm works, yada yada yada, it's only such a small percentage of people who are even seeing it. So the fact that we're worrying about something that doesn't have the weight of needing our worry is probably the wrong place to put that in. So if you've done the work, go ahead and push publish, because why not? It is going to give you feedback. I have definitely come to learn that for me, social media has to be removed of vanity. Like, it is not about how this is going to make me, like, get me this many likes, or none of that matters. It really is about how effective it is. And the only way I'm going to be able to tell that is if I'm going to get feedback from, okay, well, how did it do? How did people respond? Did nobody respond? That is just feedback. There's literally nothing negative about that except it telling me, okay, great. You thought this was a good post for XYZ reasons. How come it didn't land? Why didn't it resonate? It's questions to ask yourself so that, I mean, this is just my approach. You can tell me like what you do or what you suggest other people do. But when I think something is good and valuable and it quote unquote tanks, like it just didn't do well, it just allows me to think through, like, how can I say this differently? How can I
Yeah.
just take this and literally repurpose it so that I can still say the same thing I think is worth saying in a way that is going to get shown to somebody and people are going to like it? But it literally is feedback, nothing else really on the table in terms of, self-worth or anything like that.
Yeah, 100%. It's so important to remember that it's not a reflection of how valuable the post was or that you're not, you didn't do something good enough. It really is just that feedback. And so with the repurposing, that's how I think about it. If I present a topic in a carousel post on Instagram and it doesn't do well, it's not doing as well as my other post, I say, okay, same topic, real.
Yeah.
And I do better. And then maybe same that doesn't work, vice versa. I think the repurposing, one, it helps us not reinvent the wheel every single time.
Yeah.
It will hit different audiences. It will connect with different kinds of people because it's being presented different ways. It gives you a lot of feedback on what works and what doesn't. And it allows you to not just have one topic, post about it once and have it die off. You keep bringing up different things in different light. And I think that's such an important piece of social media is repurposing and just taking things as feedback, moving on from there. I always say when you check analytics or you look at numbers, do not go one step back. You have to look at it and say, now what do I do because of that feedback? You can't let it get to you. You can't look at those things. There's pieces of content that I've created that I'm like, oh, I'm just, kind of throwing this together. Yes, it's great. And it does amazing. And then I spend a ton of time on this super valuable, super in-depth green screen voiceover, whatever it may be. And it tanks. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I start doing a little more of that, or I try a different format for that topic or whatever it may be. It is the unfortunate truth that social media is a lot of testing. Yes, Instagram comes out and tells us certain things like this works, this doesn't. But we have to test because everyone's audience is different. Everyone's algorithm, hits different people and things like that. So it's testing, but I think that can make it fun. The
Mm.
word fun is so funny with social media, but the reason being is because there isn't just a perfect answer. If
Yeah.
there was a perfect answer, everyone would be
We'd
perfect
all
on,
be doing the perfect thing. We just have our
right?
little, like, head down. This is what I do. XYZ. 1 + 2 = 3. And then, yeah, but no, of course it's not like that.
Yeah, and we'd never grow from it. We would never learn from it, and social media is constantly changing, and so we have to be as well. I think that's a big thing is people are like, "Well, I don't wanna have to be my own social media manager and everything." When we sign up to be business owners and
We wear all
solopreneurs,
the hats.
we are everything. So you might as well like it a little bit more and not have that, hate toward it all the time. We just have to understand that um it's helping us. Like it's there to help us. Instagram isn't sitting there. The head of Instagram isn't like, How can we make this harder for them?" They truly are trying to make things easier for us. The algorithm isn't out to get us. We just have to understand why we need to switch things up, like it a little more, not hate it so much, and all of those things combined. Again, easier said than done. But hopefully this, if you've ever heard this before or this is your first time hearing, just keep it in your head that, it's not social media is there to help us at the end of the day.
100%. 100%. Let's talk a little bit about what's actually working right now and also what's not. Because to your point of the fact that things change all the time, that can be confusing to some people. And if you aren't consistent, or if you haven't done social media for a while, or you're just getting back into it or something like that, I would be the first one to tell you, like, what worked 2 years ago, it ain't doing nothing now on Instagram specifically. And so there can be a lot of noise or just a lot of misconception. So I'd love to get your opinion on just kind of what you're seeing right now that's actually connecting, or what other advisors are doing that's working, even if it's simple. Better if it's simple, because then it seems easier to kind of jump on board. But what are you seeing right now that's working?
Yeah, I'd say overall, the best piece of advice that I can give is storytelling in your own voice and using you as that benefit, like I was talking about earlier. No one
Mhm.
can replicate you. No one can replicate your emotion, your story. And I think Meta came out with a article recently that said content with humans in it does better. I love when they tell us what is working, and they like solidify everything I've been teaching. But getting yourself in it, it doesn't even have to be face to camera. Even your voice on a voiceover is doing well because it can detect a human. Captions that are written with your real emotion, your real stories, those things across the board are more engaging. They connect really well with your audience, and what they do is they get you closer to a warm lead. It's so much easier to find someone for the very first time. It's a piece of content that has human connection in it and trust you faster, want to take that next step, even if that next step is just commenting, following, whatever it may be. So I will say that when you show up in your photos, when you show up talking to the camera, when you even in a story, what I love about stories is they go away in 24 hours. So just release yourself from that. Um, when you do a green screen, when you do a voiceover, when you put emotion and human touch into your captions, things like that, the things that can't be replicated are doing so well on social media. And again, simple, even just showing up in your own photos. And something that does psychologically, let's say we've been on the topic of river cruises. Let's say you have a river cruise balcony, right? If you take a photo of it and you post it, someone could probably imagine themselves there, right? Yeah, I want to be there. The second a human is in that photo, whether it's front facing and it's a selfie, or it's just, let's say the camera's behind you, you're looking at the view, they can imagine that is them so much quicker. And it's all psychology of why that happens, but imagining a person as you, putting that human in the content does so well. So just remembering that. And I think that is the biggest thing that I'm seeing, does really well. We're moving away from a ton of stock images, fully AI captions. I think we're going to talk about AI a little bit, but like we have to put the human touch in there and we've got to get out there. We're not just a booking website. We are a real person with real experiences. And that's how we get people to trust us, especially through social media. If it's their first time ever meeting you and you don't have yourself on there, even in the slightest, you're just a booking engine and it's not easy to trust you. So you really want to, think about that. Even if you start with, just putting that emotion in your captions a little more, tapping into storytelling where you're giving why a trip is important, what it did for you, what the outcome, everything is value for that audience. What feeling do you want them to feel on their vacation? So starting with little things like that, I want everyone to get face to camera, talk to their audience, all of that. But I know it takes, time to build up to that confidence and everything. So I'd say anything with a human touch is doing so well on social media.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you. And I know there are people who are cringing like, "Oh, face to camera, never, no." Number one, it gets easier the more you do it. So just try and be awkward, because the more you do it and the more awkward you are, the more it will become a little bit more comfortable. And one thing, this might work for some people, it might not, but a thing that could work if it feels very uncomfortable and you feel stiff and like, "Oh, who am I?" Have somebody you like, a friend, a spouse, whatever, just hold your camera and talk to them. That way, your regular like tone of voice, your emotion, whatever comes out because you're talking familiar with a sense of familiarity. I'm getting a little tongue twisted. And it makes it feel less like super awkward. It's just me and a screen. You're talking to somebody that you know, that you like, and your personality will show a little bit more. That might work for some, it might work not work for others, but just something to try. But I agree with you in that like the personality aspect of what we're doing on social media matters more than ever. And no longer is just information gonna cut it. Like people are not looking for information, they're looking for your perspective. And that is a lot different than just information. I don't want to know the 5 best places to visit in the spring. I want to know what place you visited in the spring and why you liked it. And so there is so much opportunity for us to share our opinions, our perspectives, what have you. And that does so much, even though we have the information in our brains and we're all experts, relatively speaking, in the way that we sell travel and the niche that we have. It just doesn't work in that same way of just giving information as it used to, I feel like, on social media. And so using specific examples or pulling from your own experiences or telling client stories, specifically when there's transformations that happen, like this, they were here and now they're here. Like those things are really, really powerful. And so it's also the thing that like is unique to you and your business, right? Your personality, your perspective, your clients, their stories, all of that is like your gold mine because it only belongs to you, which is really, really great. So what you're hearing us both say, I think, is keep it personal, show up, be awkward until it doesn't feel awkward anymore. And
Yeah.
it'll work. It'll work. What do you, the flip side, I guess, what do you see that's not really working? Like what feels overdone or disconnected? And maybe it worked in the past, but right now it's kind of just like, not really feeling it from the algorithm gods anymore.
I would say, kind of to your point, what you were talking about, just information. You know,
Mhm.
we have a lot of resources out there now, right? And we hope that people will book with advisors every single time, but they are finding a lot of resources out there. So, just simple information with no emotion to it, no human touch, it really does disconnect and it is a little overdone. And so, I think to remember that is, huge. I think as well, when you look at how social media has kind of shaped everything in these, like, over the past, I mean, I've been in social media for 10 years now. Over the past even 2 years, I think things that have kind of lost touch is, again, something without a story. It just, we don't want things, just promotion shoved in our face every single day. I think where I would use TikTok as an example. TikTok ads have gotten out of control, and I can spot an ad from a mile away. And so what's happening is some of the content that's being created that might not be your own content, maybe it's, AI generated visuals, they come across as ads. People do not want to be sold to anymore on social media. They want to trust you first. And then the sell comes from your bio, your, call to action, all of those things. They don't want to be sold things every single second on social media. And I think that comes with, our screen time going up on social media. If it's all selling, we're not on that platform for community. And I think all of the platforms, that is what they're focusing on. Facebook created groups because of communities. They created channels, they did all these things. So looking at it as building a community rather than building followers, I think
Mhm.
vanity metrics, all of that, thinking about all of those things, it's out. We can't do
Mhm.
that. Think about growing that community, the human touch, not selling to someone every single time. I think it's a big thing to remember that community is probably the biggest word I can give you with where social media is, moving toward or already in right now.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you can always tell when something isn't coming from like the person who's putting it out there, and that reads as like, like number one, we can just call a spade a spade. It's too easy now to get any type of information, period, with a simple AI search or what have you. And so, if that's all that's being generated on whatever social media platform you're on, it is not helpful in the way that it might have been at one point. And so, talking about AI for just a second, because I think it's helpful and I think it has its place in all aspects of our business when we use it wisely. But what I wouldn't want for people to think or take away is that it's easy to rely on it in a way that's actually not helping them show up better or more effectively. So, what are you kind of seeing, or what do you promote or share in your own business of using AI in social media capacity for content or for, you know, kind of generating ideas? What works? And then we'll kind of talk about what doesn't work.
Yeah, definitely. I think I am on the same page with you of I don't think it's going away. I think it can be very helpful. We just have to be careful how much we are using it and how much we're relying on it to create everything for us. I think it's great for caption starters. You still got to put your own spin on it. You still got to, give the detail, give the personal aspect to it. So it's great to not stare at a blank screen and have, a starter. It can draft really great emails. It can outline things really well. I use the word brainstorming, starter. You use it as a friend, not a partner. Not someone who is co-owning your business and right in it is a friend to you. And not saying you have to name your AI and do all of that stuff. What I mean is they are someone that is disconnected from your business, that is the sounding board, right? So we don't want, I hope we never get to the point where, we're just plugging something into ChatGPT, trusting it and posting it, right? It can't give everything that we have going on in our head, going on with our emotion, all of those things. So thinking of it as that starter for us, our foundation, but we have to build the house. We have to be that person or we lose the connection. We really do.
Yeah. And as much as people think it is not easy to spot or to recognize, there is something I think internal in all of us as AI just permeates more parts of our lives, that we can just kind of like smell the not totally authentic, not really actual point of view, not totally human sounding aspect of, that in captions and whatnot. And so, yes, it can help you get started. Yes, it can help you organize thoughts and, what have you, but not replacing your voice or perspective. That still has to be you. And if it's not, then I think you're going to find yourself disappointed that like you're putting the thing out there, but it's not getting the traction you want it to. And so, if you spend so much time trying to generate your captions to sound like you, to talk like you, to give your point of view, and you're editing and you're doing and that, at that point, you probably could have just written it. So
Yeah.
just, yeah, keep that in mind as, you're trying to have it help and assist, but not replace, I guess I would say.
Yeah, 100%. I hope it never does. I hope we don't get to that point. Again, it's not going away, but I think if we use it strategically and to our advantage, it can help, but we can't lose us because that truly is what makes us different. And it really, I think it will just be so important on social media. They're already telling us that, human touch of our face and our voice matters. Those captions, it all runs into it. So, and I don't ever want to lose my, ability to write. That was one of my favorite topics in school, right? Like I love writing, but I find myself now, I don't know when I've put pen to paper
Right.
like in the last year maybe. I everything is on my computer and digital and I don't want to lose that. I want to continue to tell my stories, to do those things. Imagine like every book you ever read from here on out was fully generated by AI.
Oh,
We would never read books
yeah.
because it would just become so apparent and it wouldn't be true and it wouldn't be, you know, there wouldn't be a personal aspect. I love when I can see, authors different writing styles. And that's why I go back to that author. It's the same thing with travel. They come back to you for your expertise, the way you talk. I've had people tell me that, the way I speak on social media completely translates to real life and what I actually sound like. And I'm like, well, that's probably because I write a lot of my stuff organically. Yes, I use AI to support, maybe organize, maybe, shape up and things like that, but it's my voice. That's why I will never sound different from where I am online to when you meet me in person. And I think that's a very big, like, I was honored. I was like, thank you. That is the best compliment,
Compliment.
right? So we
It's
all
getting
want
more and more important as we go.
exactly, exactly. So has its place in the world. I don't think it's going away. We just have to remember to use it strategically. We don't want our clients going to AI to book their trips. So
Exactly.
we can't be all AI generated information. We have to
100%.
have that spin on it.
Yeah, yeah. It can't replace the part that makes people actually trust you. Like that part still needs to shine through. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people really understood at least our perspective on the place that it has and the way it can help, but also the way it can hurt if you're not careful. Let's talk about like confidence versus strategy. So I think a lot of people feel like they need a better strategy, right? Like I just need a strategy. If I had a strategy, then I would follow through and da da da. Now, do you feel like they need a strategy or do they just need to start showing up? Like chicken before the egg. Which one is which one comes first?
Yeah, I love that. That's so funny. So the example I always give with anytime someone asks me, like, is my strategy good enough? Do I need one? Hashtags. We
Mm,
used to have the ability to have 30 hashtags, right? And every marketing guru told you, you have to have this perfect strategy. You have to spend all this money to figure out what it is and what that means. Now, look at hashtags now.
yeah.
Did any of that matter? No. Hashtags aren't as important. Our keywords are and things like that. But when you look at a strategy and what we talked about analytics and how things change, it is so much better to just start with what you like, what you want to put out there, build your strategy as you go. Because if you sit there thinking, I need this crazy strategy, and months from now, you're like, oh, I'm done building my strategy. What happened in the 6 months? We
Nothing.
could have been posting. We could have been learning from the analytics. We could have been building that strategy as we go. So I think your base foundation of your strategy can be who you're talking to, what your niche is, and overall, where are you going to be posting? And you can build from there. Chicken before the egg and all of that good stuff is literally what I teach all the time because I think it's so important to not get overwhelmed. We have so much going on in our lives and our travel and our clients that we can push things off. And a social media strategy is probably one of the biggest things that gets pushed off because it seems like a daunting thing where you have to have, you have to pay some business coach to make this $6,000 strategy for you and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Though there's things out there that work and all of that. But if it stops you from doing it now, it's not worth it. You've got to start, you've got to learn from things, you've got to build from there. Houses don't get built in a day, So we have to kind of learn and grow.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I see so many advisors like they'll invest in courses, they'll invest in templates, and they still feel stuck. So that is not really the thing that is going to get you unstuck. Doing the thing is what gets you unstuck. And doing the thing is what gives you the feedback that you need to even make a better strategy to your point. So it shifts you from, I need to have more information to action. And action is the best kind of place you can find yourself in. So yes, yes, yes. Now, when we talk about confidence, again, confidence comes from doing, and I feel like we've belabored that point a bit, but can you tell, because I feel like I can you kind of tell when somebody is confident from the content they put out, right? Like sometimes it's like they grow in their confidence because you can, and it comes through like in their content, so to speak.
Yes, 100%. I think even if I talk to that person and they're like, oh my gosh, I was not confident at all. I was totally doubting this, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, you came across
Yeah.
amazing. But I think something that helps that is talking about something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Anytime I talk about, this, like I'm confident in talking about social media because I love it. So you have to continue to remember your passion behind what you do, no matter the client craziness, no matter the airport stuff that's going on. You have to remember the value that you bring and your passion behind it. We're in this industry for a reason. that's when confidence shines through. So I can definitely see it. And I see the progression over time with clients, with agents I follow, different things. I can see the more they do it, the more comfortable they are, and the less time it takes them. The
Yeah.
less time they do retakes, the less time, they delete something or whatever it may be. The more they do it, the better they get. Again, it's one of those shake you things of like, I'm going to tell you this over and over again, but you really cannot see it until you start. And so 100%, someone can come across completely confident about something if they have passion behind it. Maybe come off camera and be like, oh, I don't know, but it can still shine through if that passion and value is really there for that audience.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was just thinking about, because we've talked a little bit about how probably um, the thing that people kind of shy away from the most is talking to camera. And I remember when I like first started talking to camera, I would literally do like 17 takes. Like, oh God, that was silly. Oh goodness, I tripped over my words there. Oh goodness. And now I'm just like, two maybe, like just to say which one is best, and then it's done. But it is so true in the fact that like you do it more, you get better at it, and also it just becomes more natural. It's like I'm not holding the camera there being like, hi, it's just kind of like I'm talking and I feel so comfortable because I've done it so many times. And that in and of itself is just like a really, really big game changer. So keep doing it and it'll get better, get faster, and you'll feel more confident as you go. Let's talk a little bit about consistency, because I think that's also a really, really huge factor in the success you can see from utilizing social media in the marketing that you do for your business. Because yes, post once a quarter and it's a great post, nobody cares because nobody remembers. So consistency is such a big part of it. And what do you think is a realistic rhythm for people to maintain, for advisors to kind of say, okay, I can do that? Like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, I talk about consistency so much for that exact reason of you can't fade away, right? You can't burn out and not post. And so I think consistency, when you come down to it, it really is a lot about being honest with yourself. I will get off a really great call with someone, they'll be revved up. They're like, Kyla, I'm going to post twice a day and I'm going to kill it. And I'm like, whoa, please don't do that. You will burn out. I don't even post twice a day. And what is more realistic for you, maybe could we do 4 times a week? Could you maintain that through your craziest week, through traveling, through anything that happens month after month after month? And they're like, you know what? Yeah, I could. And I'm like, okay. So that's a consistent rhythm that we can keep up with that keeps you, consistent on the platform. You're showing up for your audience. They're seeing that you're, putting content out on their platform. And that is what helps, because it doesn't help you if you're going to go all crazy right after you get all revved up. And then 2 months from then, you drop off for 3 months.
Yeah.
That is not what your audience wants to see, because then you just left value. Maybe they don't know is she still doing this? Where's she at? What's she doing? But also that's not what the algorithm wants to see, right? They are also building a community, and what that means for them is having active, consistent users. So
Mhm.
there's people out there who say like, to grow you have to post once a day and you have to do this and this and this and this. But I truly believe what matters more is what can you maintain. So I would say if we're talking numbers, what I see consistently across the board, people kind of come to terms with and really, level themselves out with, is 4 times a week. They say,
Mhm.
yep, I can do 4 times a week consistently. If you do more, you do more. But
Yeah.
we're not dropping under that number to stay consistent. And sometimes they're simple posts. They're a this or that. They're something engaging. Maybe sometimes they're a little more in depth, but it doesn't always have to be a crazy production every single time. So kind of think of that, of what, looking at, look at a crazy month, wave season, anything like that. What could be maintained no matter what, and move forward with that. See how it does. Use that as analytics. Go up if you feel more confident and you want to post more and you have the time for it. But what we don't want to do is backtrack, burn out, do all of those things, because that really is when we are not bringing value to the algorithm or to our audience.
100%. And I think the biggest benefit of social media for a lot of us advisors is the ability to stay top of mind. And the only way we stay top of mind is if we show up consistently. Because if I haven't seen a post from somebody I follow in whatever arena they live in, they are not in my brain. There's too much other information that is taking up space, that is going across my feed, that is, I'm consuming, that if you are not part of that rhythm, you're going to be lost and you're going to be forgotten. And so in our industry and for what we do, staying top of mind is the best thing we can do for people, so that when they are ready to go on a trip, or when they are talking to a friend who has their big anniversary coming up, or whatever the case may be, that ability to have been like, oh, I know, so and so, and they do this and that for this person, and this is how they help. It's right there. It's easily accessed. And to your point of whatever the consistent number that you choose and you stick to, knowing that it doesn't all have to be that big, heavy lift. I almost think what I have seen in my own content is that if I do too much of like the 10 carousel, teach you everything I know, share all my deepest expertise, and I do that over and over again, it loses a little bit of its effectiveness. So I break it up. Like, I never want to post too many deep, heavy, like teaching posts, because also the algorithm's like, yeah, people are here to just have some fun. So you don't have to think that it's all going to be time consuming in that way as well. It is just about finding the rhythm and the consistency to show up, stay top of mind, and let people know that you're there, and who you do, what you do, how you help them, can over and over and over and over and over again. Right.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think a content calendar helps a ton,
A
whether it's
ton. Yeah.
pen to paper or it's digital. If you don't have one, you're not visually seeing what your goals are and you're not writing it out. I have some people who take a content calendar and they put, what days they're going to post, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And then they put the topic and they stop there. They still have a content calendar, right?
Yeah.
I have some people who sit down and they batch for 2 weeks and they create the content. It's created, it's captioned, it's there, the hashtags are there, everything is ready. And so they're ready. It depends on how, structured you want to get with it. But if you don't have a content calendar, you're going to forget, you're going to get overwhelmed. It isn't going to be able to stay consistent time after time. So it's so important. And I think one thing you mentioned of like a friend seeing something, not everyone's biggest goal is a million new followers, clients, things like that. You have to remember that if I tell you, hey, I met this person and they're amazing, you should look them up. They don't have your business card. Their first thing might be look at her Instagram. If
It's
they don't,
probably the first thing. Like, that's what
wrong.
we just know, what we all do in real life. If somebody tells me anything, like, oh, my hairstylist, let me go see what other hairstyles she's done, like anything.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's how we check people out. That's before we ever even decide if we're going to reach out or consider them. It's like, let me see what else they have to
Yeah.
say, what they're about. Let me just kind of stalk for a little bit. So many people are stalkers, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they send you an inquiry, and they've been stalking you for 6 months.
Yep.
Wow.
Something just hits, something connects with them, something speaks to them. They just got their tax return, something happened, they're ready to book this trip. I think that's a big thing to remember is not everyone on your following, people who are going to see you, is immediately ready to book a
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah.
It takes time. And that's the same thing with social media. So yeah, 100% keeping that in mind. I do the same thing. I don't ever give websites out. I say, here's their Instagram, here's their Facebook. And so keeping that top of mind when you are creating content, that sometimes the goal isn't new eyes all the time. Sometimes it's nurturing people who already follow you, being that referral source of like, if someone sees me, they're going to be like, heck yeah, she knows her stuff. Not because it's perfectly branded and put together, because it's real.
Yeah.
And I think that's something big to remember.
100%. 100%. This has been such a fun conversation. I want to give people the opportunity to listen to this and then decide, hey, this next week, this is what I'm going to do to set myself up for success. So let's make it really simple. If somebody's like listening and saying, hey, they're calling me out, this is me, I feel, I feel called out. One thing in terms of like, where do I start? What's the first thing I do to start on this path to being consistent with social media?
I would probably say content calendar.
Okay.
Have whatever that looks like for you. Again, pen and paper, digital, and start building that out. Choose your days, choose your consistency schedule, and then start filling it in. That is probably because most people maybe haven't done that in a while. They don't have that. Maybe it's just you, maybe you do have one, but it's not really going your way. Um, Look at that and, adjust it, but start there and have that goal of you're going to set that number and you're going to stick to it. I always think like a good 3 months of solid foundation of analytics, things like that is a great number to pull from. It's also an attainable, goal. I'm not saying you have to do this for a year, but find a content calendar in whatever way that works for you. Set your consistency schedule, set that goal, and then everything we've been saying about just do it. That's like the hardest thing. I hate saying that. Like just do it. But it truly is. Take all of, this foundation and post with value for that audience. So, content calendar is what I would say biggest thing you could start with literally after you listen to this.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And to your point, doing it for 3 months and remembering that everything we've talked about, everything that has to do with marketing, but specifically with social media, you have to think of it as a long game. Like this is not a like one time or 1 month or like, gosh, I have now been an advisor for 10 years and I still see the payoff of just being consistent with social media. And so, what I hope is that, hey, this might be simple. This might be like, okay, and what else? No, this is just it. Like, you just start it and then you do it and you stay consistent. And over time, you will see the return on your investment. And that is you being consistent and showing up consistently for your clients to provide them value and showcase who you are and how you can help them. And so I really do believe that this is going to be something that people can commit to. And I want to see more advisors committing to this because it can separate advisors who are growing from the ones who feel stuck. Is social media the only way you can market your business? No, but I dare to say that it cannot hurt. It can only help. And most just businesses in general have a social media presence that they are consistent with. And I want the same for us in our industry. So thank you, Kyla, for taking us on this journey today and showing up for this conversation with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I do hope that it helps advisors feel a little bit more confident in their social media journey.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. This was great. I loved how the conversation went and I hope you take something away from this. You get, the action going and I'm excited to see you all on social media.
Wonderful. And just real quick, because I know you do help advisors with social media, in what way do you work with advisors if they are like, okay, fine, but I really need some help?
Definitely. I'd say there's kind of levels to it. The biggest one is my free Facebook group. It's called the Social Passport Lounge. This group has been amazing. Everyone is super supportive. They bounce ideas off of each other. I talk about social media updates. I do little trainings, things like that. I also host social media fam trips. So we go in destination, hands on. We're really getting down into it with a smaller group
Yeah.
with content, some coaching, different things. But I'd say the biggest thing I can tell you right now, free Facebook group.
It's
It's been
amazing.
amazing for so many advisors.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's like a no-brainer. Listen, if you guys want encouragement or just someone to hold you accountable and give you ideas and tips and tricks, like what is better than something free and something you're on already? I know you are. So that's incredible. Well, thank you so much, Kyla. I appreciate it. And we will talk to you later.